Good morning, kiddos. Coach Troy here, and today we're checking out One Deck Dungeon, Forest of Shadows. Now, One Deck Dungeon is a dungeon crawl for 1 to 2 players, but it's not a dungeon crawl. It's a dice manipulation game masquerading as a dungeon crawl. Now, in this dungeon crawl, you're going to be flipping cards that are going to have different encounters, traps, etc., that you're going to have to defeat using your items, which are really just dice. You roll the dice, you use your powers and abilities to manipulate those dice in your pool, and you try to match them up so that you can beat the encounters. And when you do that, you get more experience points, or you get more dice as items, or you get more powers to manipulate your dice, and so on and so forth. And you go through until you reach the big bad at the end of the dungeon, and then another dice battle to try to beat them. Alright, now first off, disclosure, this mat does not come with the game, but I am a sucker for a fantastic play mat with card games. And yeah, this one I managed to get lucky and pick up is first class. This is good stuff. The game does come with a bunch of really cool dice. I do like these bright, colorful dice. You're going to have your selection of character cards. Now, real quick, got to go over these characters. Just like in the original game, they are all female characters and with actual appropriate armor. Go figure. Haha. Most of my gaming group I play with is female, so if I ever was to play with another player, it's nice to have female characters that are represented well. There's the Hunter, which uses time to get those special black extra dice. The Warden, which is all about the attack. The Alchemist gets to use extra potions. The Druid, which has companions and is all about the blue dice. What is that? Mysticism, intelligence, magic. Kaliana, which I believe was a promo card, but they threw that in there as well, and has the ability to discard damage, but whenever it takes the damage, loses. So, interesting character, very different. And of course, my favorite character is the Slayer, all about the agility and the cool ability to get those extra black dice. Whenever you kill a character, you can store some on there. You can store up to 2 on there and use them whenever you need. Awesome ability, my favorite character. Bam! So set your character up there. Then you're going to decide which dungeon you're going to go against. So you've got several different enemies here that you get to pick from. And each one of these bosses has their own dungeon with different rules that you have to do before you can compete or complete any of the encounters. So let's go ahead. You're going to take that, slide it underneath the reference card here with the first dungeon floor there. And it does come with neat wooden tokens. Hearts obviously representing health. These are going to be your poison tokens, these green ones, and little white boxes, very Euro-y, for your potions that you can use. This also came with a little check guide, so you can kind of run it as a campaign and go along that way. Oh, and apparently the cat is really enjoying the potions. Get out of there, you! You're pretty much going to be going through the dungeon, which is represented by this stack here. Every time you're doing anything, you're going to throw a couple off, which represents time going through, and you'll set up 4 different doors. Now you're going through the Mudlands, so it's not really a dungeon, I guess. It's more of a terrain, but hey, whatever. And then to go through, you're going to throw a couple more off, and then you'll flip things over. You'll have encounters with creatures here, like this one is a giant spider. And other ones that you can get are, like this one will be, it's not a monster encounter, there's like traps and different situations, like this brambled field here. These are a little different. You're going to pick which one you're going to go for first, and then try to solve it that way. Now what you do is when you have this here, say, I've got that. Now my character starts off with lots of these pink dice here. So I'm going to pick the one there. Try to get, I need to roll 10 with all my dice combined here. Alright? And I'm also going to need to, looking at where I'm at in the Mudlands, to go through one of these situations, I'm going to need to roll a 4. This gray box means any colored die. So a single 4 die, because a small box means a single die. These larger boxes means you can combine whatever dice together as long as they're the same color. I'll roll these here. Alright, here are my dice that I have to work with. And looking at that, I can take the 6 here to cover that situation there. And then here I need a 10 pink. I can do that with these 3 dice here. Alright, very good. And then once I do that, then I can take this here. I can use it as an item. If I do that, I'll put it in my character, put it next to him here, and that will give me another blue die. Or I can use it as, looks like a potion here. So I will gain this potion, where if I use a potion, I can ignore all of these shield icons during an encounter. Alright? So I can put that underneath my potions here. Other ones have skills, like this spider here. This one is a skill. If I can roll a black die, then increase it by 1, but it'll cost me the use of a yellow die to do so, and I put that under my skill. So depending where you get, you can use it as an item, a skill, a potion, or if I say I have all the items I can according to my level, like 1 item and 2 skills at level 1, I can use it as experience. So I have these 3 here. I'll just put on the side somewhere, experience. Whereas if I get a 6 experience, I can level up to level 2. And at level 2, I'll gain a potion. I'll get a bonus of one of these black die that can be used as a wild pretty much for anything. And then I can now hold 3 items and have 3 skills. Whereas before, I could only have 1 item and 2 skills. And then once you get through this deck here, you're going to go through to the next level of the dungeon, and now I'm going to have more things I have to deal with in each encounter, and I go through again. Now as I do this, I'm going to continue to level up, to gain items, to gain skills, and I can start using that to manipulate the dice so I can start beating creatures, making it a little easier for myself. And once I finally go through it a 3rd time, I go through all 3 levels of the dungeon, I'm going to flip this over here, and now I'm going to face this mud golem here. And hopefully I have enough dice or enough skills to manipulate my dice to be able to beat him. Now what makes Forest of Shadows different is, well, it's very brown and green. Alright, so the color scheme. Now it's going to have different dungeons, slightly different there, and characters that have different abilities. And there's also a poison mechanic that's going to affect your character. And every time you get poisoned, you throw on another one of these tokens. Once you do that, when you do more exploring, you'll roll a die, and you have to roll above how many poison counters you have, otherwise you take damage and you can get rid of them. There's potions, you can use potions to get rid of poison counters, and things like that. Truthfully, it's kind of annoying, and I think it just adds more fiddliness to the game when you're already doing a lot of fiddliness with all the dice you're manipulating. It's just one more annoying thing to keep track of. I really don't like it, and I kind of debate even playing with it. I don't know if it'll change the difficulty that much. That's it. It's not a whole lot different from regular one-deck dungeon. So yeah, Forest of Shadows, say slightly different, not a whole lot. They can be combined. You can use the heroes from this one and the other games. You can use the other game's heroes in this one, going through the dungeons and encounters. And so it gives you a lot more that you can mix and match, but it doesn't exactly play through very differently. If you have one, you don't necessarily need the other, but if you like it a lot and you want to get more and you want to mash things up, you can do that. Or you have the ability to play 4 players. If you have both, you can play a 4-player game with all the different cards that you got. Now overall, I did enjoy. I do like it. It's a giant puzzle of it's figuring out the puzzle, figuring out how to get your dice, building your dice machine here to defeat all the challenges. And it's got the same thing. You start out, you're kind of weak, and you're going to take some damage, but you got to get your items up, and you got to get your abilities up, and then you got to get experience so you can get more of those. And then you get to the second level of the dungeon, and then it's more things you got to do, so you're weaker again. You just got to try to build up, build up, build up, and then third, build up, build up, build up. So hopefully you've got enough life left over, and you've got enough dice and ways to manipulate them to beat that final boss. First, some of the lighter dungeons are pretty easy to get through. The tougher dungeons are very difficult. You're going to need, I say it's a dice game, you're always going to need luck. It's always going to depend on that roll. Are you going to get what you need? But I do like when you're able to manipulate dice in games so that you feel like you have more control. Like you said, you can try to set yourself up for success. So even though you have some bad rolls, you can still figure out a way to beat those bosses and get through those dungeons. So yes, I would recommend the game if you like that kind of thing. If you like playing solo, it's again not competitive. You're not going to beat anybody. So yeah, if you got some time on your hands, you just want to sit, chuck some dice, mess around with them. The 30-minute games, it's not too long, where it's not a huge investment, but it's enough where you actually feel like you're doing something, and when you win, you accomplish something, and if you lose, it's like you get a little mad at yourself. It does get fiddly with all the manipulation, but that's the game, though. So if sometimes I've messed up many times thinking, oh, did I already use that? Did I not mark it off? Did I use that ability? Did I not use the ability? Oh, I forgot to use that ability. And so there is a lot of that. It's a lot of little switches in the machine. If you like that, you'll like this game. So overall, say, about a 6.5 out of 10. Using a 10-point must system, I guess. Yeah, 6.5 out of 10. Say, I like it. I'll play it again a few more times, but I probably won't play it too much after that. I'll be looking for something a little different. I know apparently Fiona is not agreeing with my decision here because she's biting the snot out of me, but well, I'm going to still stick with my opinion, all right? Either way, thanks for joining us, and I'll see y'all next time. All right, which we go for? Game or toy? Game or toy? All right, she's decided.